What's up, fantasy managers? This episode is a player applause for the Thursday night game. I'm doing the Denver Broncos. There's 5 players. No, wait, 6. No, 7. 8 players I want to talk about from that game. If you want to know who to start or sit from the Denver Broncos, stick around for 7 seconds. All right, it's your lucky bastard here, Jason. Today's date is 10/10, so we're a couple days before the Thursday night game, but I'm still going to go over some stuff like the over and under, the offensive defense, and some injuries, but just be aware some things might change leading up to Thursday night. The over and under for this game is 47.5, and I believe that's one of the highest out of the week. The Denver Broncos are 10th in points scored at 24.5 points per game and 16th in total offense at 328 yards a game. The Chiefs are 5th in defensive scoring at 16 points per game and 9th in total defense at 301 yards per game. So heading into week 6, the Pro Football Network has the Broncos O-line ranked 14th overall. So that's about midway. And they give up 3 sacks a game, which is 21st overall. And that's not good. And 7th in yards per play at 5.8. But that's good. And on the Chiefs, the other hand, they're 19th in sacks a game at 2.6. And 8th in yards per play, allowing only 4.6 yards. That's pretty damn good. So the injuries I want to talk about are on the Broncos side. And the center, Lloyd Cushenberry, limited practice today. Running back Javonte Williams was also limited practice today. And tight end Greg Dulcich was also limited practice today. They're saying there's a good chance that Javonte Williams is going to play for Thursday night. And Greg Dulcich just got off of IR, and he's trying to play for Thursday night. All right, so let's jump into the most important part of the episodes, the player pause for the Denver Broncos. And let's start with the quarterback, Russell Wilson. Let me give you a little bit of history. Wilson is 9-3 on Thursday Night Football, and he averages 216 yards and close to 2 touchdowns for Thursday night games. Wilson's career against the Chiefs, he's 1-3. Last year, he was 0-2, but he averaged 24 points per game in both those losses. And his important stats for those 2 games, he had 4 touchdowns, 2 INTs, and 2 rushing touchdowns. Now I want to throw out some stats last week when he played against the Jets, who was a pretty good defense. He had 20 completions on 31 attempts, 196 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 INTs, but he did have 1 fumble. He also rushed 7 times for 49 yards. So Russell Wilson is quarterback 5. Let that sink in for a bit. He's playing a defense who allows the 11th most points to the opposing quarterback. Wilson this year has not scored under 15 points. The Chiefs are tied for 19th in the league, allowing only 6 passing touchdowns this year, and 14th in the league in opposing quarterback rushing. I normally look at players on next-gen stats, and when I typed in Russell Wilson, nothing really stood out. It was pretty much all average, except 2 things. One, he had the best touchdown to INT ratio in the league. He has 11 touchdowns, only 2 INTs, and his quarterback rating was 4th in the league at 106. That's pretty damn good. I do believe the Chiefs' defense is better this year than it was last year, and they started off the first quarter of the season great against quarterbacks. But if you look into the teams that they face, the Jaguars, who have a bad offensive line and was a little bit of a slump, I mean, maybe they might still be in a slump. We'll have to wait this week and see. But the Chiefs held Trevor Lawrence to 8 points. And then they faced the Bears, who have a bad offensive line also and started the year awful. Chiefs held Justin Fields to only 99 yards passing and to 9 fantasy points. Now, in the last 2 games, they faced a disappointing Zach Wilson, who is a quarterback 30, and he had a career night against the Chiefs, scoring 2 touchdowns and scored 18 fantasy points. And last week, they played against Kirk Cousins, who's good for fantasy football, but he played that game without Justin Jefferson, but he still ended up with 19 points and had 2 passing touchdowns. Now, I do believe the Chiefs are going to win this game, and the trend will continue. And that trend is that the Broncos are going to fall behind early, and they're going to abandon the run, and Russell Wilson's going to throw the ball to everybody on the field, to every Bronco player, because he doesn't hyper-target anybody, and he's going to use his legs to try to climb back into this game. I play Russell Wilson. Now I want to talk about the running backs from the Denver Broncos. There's 3 of them, and the first one I want to talk about is Javonte Williams, who missed last week due to a quad injury, and he did have limited practice today. Williams is likely to start against the Chiefs this week, and the Chiefs' run defense is 6th best in running back scoring. And that's not good for Javonte Williams. He, who scored 7 points against the Raiders that allow 129 rushing yards a game, and 6 points versus the Commanders that allow 133 rushing yards a game, and 7 points against the Dolphins, who allow 115 yards a game. Now he's coming back from an injury, and he's playing against a rushing defense that's 6th best. It's not good. Williams has rushed over 50 yards only once this year and averages 2.5 receptions a game, and he has not scored a touchdown through the air or on the ground. The Chiefs defense are 11th in rushing yards allowed, only allowing 97 yards per game, and they've only given up one rushing touchdown this year. Denver rushes 104 yards a game, which is 19th in the league, and about 20 of those come from Russell Wilson. The only running back to look good against the Kansas City Chiefs was back in week 1 when David Montgomery rushed the ball for 21 times for 76 yards and 1 touchdown. And that didn't even look good. He just got that because of pure volume. David Montgomery has the highest fantasy points, 13, for a running back against the Kansas City Chiefs. I pause. Javonte Williams. And the second running back I want to talk about from the Denver Broncos is Samaje Perine. He has scored 9 points twice this year, and he's pretty good in the passing game, but he is very, very touchdown dependent because he only gets about 7.5 touches a game. His rushing yards a game and his per attempt a game is very disappointing for fantasy managers who drafted him in the middle rounds. I pause. Samaje Perine. So now I want to talk about the third and the final, but the number one running back for the Denver Broncos, Jaleel McLaughlin. McLaughlin. Yeah. Jaleel McLaughlin. What name has 3 L's in it? It's bizarre. So last week against that Jets defense, he had 9 rushes for 68 yards, but no rushing touchdowns. But he had 3 receptions for 21 yards and a receiving touchdown on 4 targets. Now here's a little stat. Guess which quarterback targets their running backs the second most in the league? It's Russell Wilson. The Broncos running backs combined for 42 targets through week 5. This sounds like a Sean Payton system with Reggie Bush, Darren Sproles, and Pierre Thomas from back in the day. Remember Pierre Thomas? The Chiefs are 21st in the league for opposing running backs receptions. They've only given up 19 receptions to opposing running backs this year. But I don't care about that stat. I don't care. Have you seen Jaleel McLaughlin play? Have you? Tell me. He averages 8.5 rushing yards per attempt and around 8 yards per reception with back-to-back games with a receiving touchdown. McLaughlin is elusive, explosive, electric. What's another E word? Exciting. He's exciting to watch. Sean Payton must see this guy as a weapon. He's an RB2 if Javonte Williams doesn't play. If Williams does play, I still want to put this guy in my flex. I play Jaleel McLaughlin. So now let's talk about the wide receiver core at the Broncos. And I want to start with wide receiver 1, Jeudy, or is it Courtland Sutton? No, it's Jeudy. No, it's Sutton? Okay, let's just do Courtland Sutton first. Sutton went into week 5 with 3 touchdowns out of 4 games, and then Sauce Gardner just shut him down. He was 1 reception for 13 yards, no touchdown on 3 targets. While averaging 88% of snaps this year, he leads his team in targets and touchdowns and receptions. So going into this week, Sutton is wide receiver 36, and he's facing a Chiefs defense that is 9th in wide receiver scoring. The Chiefs have only given up 4 receiving touchdowns in 5 games. Their secondary gives up 145 receiving yards a game to wide receivers, while also only allowing 65 receptions to wide receivers on the year. That's insane defense. And on the other end of that, the Broncos are tied 25th in the league for targets to wide receivers with 84 targets in 5 games. To compare that, the Bengals are number 1 in the league, targeting their wide receivers 142 times. So not only are the Chiefs cornerbacks pretty good, the Broncos don't give opportunities to their wide receivers. Sutton averages 7.1 cushion and 3.1 yards of separation, plus 11.3 target air yards, which is all great. But if you take out that Dolphins game where he received 11 targets, throw that game away, and Sutton is averaging 4 targets a game. So Sutton plays 78% of his snaps on the outside. And that's where the Chiefs have been at their best when defending wide receivers. Kansas City is allowing 52.3% catch rate and 7 yards per target, that's 6th in the NFL, to outside wide receivers. This isn't good information for Sutton. I personally believe that Courtland Sutton is the Broncos wide receiver 1, which means he's likely going to be matched up against L'Jarius Sneed. In week 17 of last year when the Broncos played the Chiefs, Sutton recorded 1 reception for 11 yards, 0 touchdowns on 2 targets when Sneed was covering him. And Sneed's been doing well all year. He hasn't given up a touchdown at all this year, and he's gone up against players like Josh Reynolds, Calvin Ridley, DJ Moore, Garrett Wilson, and Justin Jefferson. It's going to be another tough matchup for this guy. So I pause Courtland Sutton. So now I want to talk about the other supposedly wide receiver one for the Denver Broncos, Jeudy. Jerry had another quiet game last week. 6 receptions, 50 yards, 0 touchdowns on 7 targets. So let's remember that Russell Wilson has targeted his wide receivers only 84 times, which is 25th in the league. He definitely likes his running backs more. Jeudy's 4 games this season, 3.5, 10.5, 6.5, and 8 points. So he's averaging 8 yards a cushion, which is number 1 in the league. Teams do not want to get beat deep by this guy. And he averages 3 yards of separation, which is a large enough window for any quarterback. His catch rate is 70%, but only 25% share of team air yards. His snap played is 73% through 4 games, which is kind of low for his talent. But Jeudy does lead his team in average yards per game at 52. He only gets 6 targets a game and around 4 catches. But his average yards per route run is 1.59, and that is more than Courtland Sutton's 1.32. But who is the wide receiver one? I thought Jeudy was going to be entering this season as a wide receiver one for the Broncos, but it doesn't look that way when he's only getting 2 red zone targets inside the 10-yard line. But that might change in this game because 46.9% of the wide receivers' receptions against the Chiefs have come from the slot, and that's 7th highest. And Jeudy has 77 snaps in the slot through 4 games. There's a good chance we're going to see more of Jeudy this game. And the staff that I really do like is Chiefs cornerback Trent McDuffie will likely line up across from Jeudy on the outside and may shadow him in the slot. McDuffie gave up 6 receptions for 64 yards and 1 touchdown to Jordan Addison in Week 5, and that's 18 points in PPR. The Broncos will need to throw to keep up with the Chiefs, and Courtland Sutton is going to be busy being shut down by the Chiefs on the outside. I see Jeudy having the same role as Jordan Addison did last week. And here we go. Jeudy gets his first touchdown of the year. I play Jeudy. And the third wide receiver I want to talk about is the rookie, Marvin Mims Jr. Mims leads the team in receiving yards with 246. He's the only receiver on the Broncos to have a 100-yard receiving game. And he has scored 1 touchdown this year, which is more than Jeudy. And Russell Wilson has a great deep ball. And Mims only receives 2 catches a game. And with 1 TD in 5 games, I'm not taking the chance. I pause Marvin Mims Jr. And last but not least, I want to talk about all the big brothers. It's just not one tight end. I want to talk about all of them. The one position Russell Wilson hates more than wide receivers are the tight ends. They are ranked 28th in the league for targets to tight ends with only 22 on the year. Now, yes, Adam Trautman did score a touchdown last week and finished with 10 points. That was against a Jets defense who allows the most points to tight ends. And now Adam Trautman has a total of 15 points on the year. The Chiefs have given up only 1 touchdown from a tight end this year. I need to witness more consistency before I started playing a Broncos tight end. Greg Dulcich did return from IR, and he does have a chance to play Thursday night, but there's not enough brisket to risk it. I pause every single one of them, all of them Broncos tight ends. All right, we're here at the end. Thank you for watching. Week 5 is gone. Week 6 is in 2 days. Tyler's video for the Kansas City Chiefs player pause is in 1 day. I believe by watching this video, it can help you decide on who to play, on who to pause. If you could please hit the subscribe. It goes a long way. Even if you give us a like. We got some more videos coming out this week, and I'll see you then. Deuces.